The Star Wars Holiday Special is a very interesting case when it comes to the cultural impact of Star Wars. It's widely regarded as the weirdest thing Star Wars has done, but also the worst thing Star Wars has done, both of which I'd say are pretty true statements. Aside from this,
I'm feeling good tonight, finally feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like, gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but I answer to, ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carbonite's off me, I'm living life now that I'm free, yeah.
And while every reviewer on the internet seems to have reviewed this pile of shit, I think it's only reasonable that I throw in my 2 cents, considering the fact that it's the holiday season and I happen to be hitting this point in the Star Wars canon on my series of Star Wars reviews for this show. I've been putting out the entire series, so see my reviews on episodes 1 through 4, as well as Rogue One and Solo. Empire Strikes Back and Beyond will be coming out soon. It's also worth noting that this is the first time Star Wars really dipped its toes into expanding the franchise, besides the weird non-canonical Splinters of the Mind's Eye, which is a bizarre book I recommend looking into if you haven't read it. However, you're probably better off just watching a video on it if you're like me and illiterate. At the time of the Holiday Special's release, Star Wars was the highest grossing film of all time. The franchise became a sure thing, but it was still a little over a year away from receiving a follow-up through The Empire Strikes Back. It's also worth noting that this is the point where the franchise became a consumerist icon, a position this franchise still holds, mostly. So it almost makes too much sense to try to lodge the Star Wars brand into the public consciousness once again during the holiday seasons, in hopes of selling toys and merchandise for the upcoming holiday season. However, this may have backfired. This was, let's just say, an odd way to choose going about this, with a bloated feature-length TV special about a group of undubbed Wookiees watching a strange variety show-esque thing with characters dancing around, only to end in a Waco, Texas cult gathering to conclude this bizarre special. George Lucas had little involvement in this thing, basically saying it was a bit of a fuck-up that he let it happen, but live and learn. It is worth noting, however, that he did write the animated segment in this film. Anyways, this is also notable for being the last time live-action Star Wars would be made for television until The Mandalorian would eventually air in late 2019. Finally, I want to talk briefly about the new LEGO Star Wars Holiday Special. It was fine. I watched it after this, and if you're a die-hard fan, you'll probably have a decent time. Anyways, with that said, let's get into the plot. The plot follows a group of undubbed Wookiees. These are Chewbacca's family members. We have Itchy, Chewie's grandfather, Lumpy, Chewie's son, Malla, Chewie's wife, and they grow concerned when Chewie isn't home for the Life Day. The Wookiee Christmas, as it were. Anyways, they just sit around making random noises and watching a series of variety show performances as they wait for Chewie. As it turns out, Chewie is being held up with Han Solo by an Imperial blockade and is trying to make it home, all while a group of Imperial troopers make it to Chewie's home looking for rebel activity. They do not know this is Chewie's house, but they realize that there's one Wookiee missing. After Lumpy makes a fake signal for the stormtroopers to rejoin the Imperial fleet, the crew leave. This is with the exception of one trooper, who finds out about Lumpy's brilliant deception right before this trooper can shoot Lumpy dead. However, Han shows up and throws this trooper out of the Wookiee treehouse to his death. The pair is happily back together, and they go to a cult gathering to celebrate Life Day. Segments in this film are pretty weird and often just use characters in weird costumes as a way to illustrate this is a sci-fi variety show. For example, we have Itchy watching this VR ASMR porno of an attractive African-American woman singing a song, or Lumpy watching a circus act. Even this one where Jefferson Starship, a pretty big rock band from the time, plays a little number. The songs played in these aren't actually that bad, though it's a bizarre time waster to say the least, and it is another way to illustrate just how bizarre this variety show is. Some of the weird segments you probably have actually heard of are things like the Whip and Stir segment, where Malla is trying to watch a cooking show and Harvey Korman in blackface basically just says whip and stir for like 6 minutes while he stirs at increasing speeds while mixing in a bowl. Or the part where this computer robot man has a computer glitch and kind of just twitches around for 5 minutes while showing Lumpy how to fix his computer, which he'd eventually use to lure the stormtroopers away. Speaking of that part, when Han pushes that guy to his death, then gets a call from the Imperials, and San-Don explains to the Imperials that the trooper abandoned his post, and the Imperials are like, okay, we'll send out a search party for him.
As soon as they had gone, he packed a lot of food from this house and he robbed me blind. Then he took off for the hills.
Very well, we'll send out a search party.
Thank you.
How did the Imperials not find his mangled corpse at the bottom of this treehouse right outside of Chewbacca's home? Whatever, I guess. Questioning the logic of this film is kind of a waste of energy. Probably the most coherent skit is the one where B. Arthur is running the Mos Eisley Cantina. The lead-in is pretty weird though, with the Empire saying all Imperials have to watch this broadcast, and the broadcast is just B. Arthur doing shit.
It is required viewing for all members of the Imperial forces.
Time now for Life on Tatooine, brought to viewers everywhere in the hope that our own lives may be uplifted by the comparison and enriched with the gratitude of relief.
Okay, so the skit starts with some guy with a volcano head hitting on B. Arthur, and oh wait, what the hell? Why is Greedo in the background of this scene? Yeah, that's right. This film kind of just took what they could from actual Star Wars and ran with it, so you may notice that the cantina pretty much has the same costumes you would have seen previously in A New Hope. Anyways, Volcano Head strikes out, and in an all-too-real for 2020 moment, the Empire shuts down the cantina, and these people refuse to submit to the ultimate will of the Empire, saying they will not go home.
The Empire just imposed a curfew on this planet. Everybody has to leave right now.
And probably making a Facebook post about it. But B. Arthur sings them a song, and they leave. Finally, we have an animated segment. This is probably the most famous part of the film for introducing Boba Fett, who would go on to be one of the most hyped characters in the franchise. But honestly, I really don't know what to say about this part, so I guess I'm gonna have to find some inspiration. Oh, damn. I'm working on this video all day, and I don't know what to do. I've got an idea. The Star Wars Holiday Special Review by Doug Walker. I'll rip him off for my ideas for the cartoon segment of the Holiday Special.
Oh no, we landed in bedrock! The only thing that people really seem to remember about this cartoon is that Boba Fett, some character who got like a ton of popularity for some reason, actually makes his first appearance here.
It will be easy to find the ship you seek. Follow me, friend.
But who cares? Everyone else looks like a McDonald's character, so it's not like his coolness factor is going to save anything.
I'm afraid, sir, it's because you said Boba is a friend and
Wait a minute, when does C-3PO blink?
Oh my gosh, I'm getting a transmission. Like in the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh, hi, I didn't know there was company coming. I would have made more holiday cookies for this glorious time of the year.
The horror! Whoa! The building is coming down! Yo, the... Fuck the police! Fuck the police!
Hey guys, it's Grant the Hierophant coming at you with another big old cameo segment. My friend Connor from NDMA Productions asked me to pick one part of the Star Wars Holiday Special and do a segment on it, and since most of the special is terrible garbage, and the rest is just regular garbage, I decided to steal one of the more tolerable portions, the animated one. Now, I'm not going to judge the 70s for being the 70s, but I am going to judge the French company that animated this part of the special, Nelvana. What? They're Canadian? Same difference. If Nelvana sounds vaguely familiar, you might know them from their copious amounts of distribution of Canadian television and Nickelodeon shows. Shows such as Taina and The Fairly Odd Parents. What the fuck is Taina? Okay, jokes aside, the animation itself doesn't look all that bad. I may have been slightly drunk watching this special for the first time, but upon review, I'd have to say Nelvana did a good enough job transferring the Star Wars property from film to animation. I can tell you that this transition worked far better than the one from LucasArts to Disney. For what it is, the animation is fluent, if a bit melty. Oftentimes it looks like the characters are, melting. There are also plenty of clips that are easy to make fun of. But they got all the original voice actors to play the characters again. So you're gonna hear Mark Hamill deliver his lines awkwardly since this is the first time he's, voiced something. And it's before he became a regular voice actor.
So he's firing on us. I know, but I don't think he means to hit us. Chewie's a better shot than that.
And you're gonna hear Harrison Ford zone the fuck out like nobody's business.
Well, somebody must know something.
At least Carrie Fisher sounds somewhat sober.
Whatever he's doing, there must be a reason. Hold your fire.
What is the plot of this weird animated portion of the holiday special? Well, the story concerns Luke, Leia, C-3PO, and R2-D2 chilling at some starbase waiting on the return of Han and Chewie and some mystical amulet MacGuffin. This amulet talisman thing makes things invisible or some shit. It's not... It's not really important. They intercept a call or something from the Millennium Falcon that shows Han hanging upside down and Chewie fiddling with the controls of the cockpit. The Falcon crash lands on some planet, and Luke goes down to try and save them. Once Luke lands, he meets some dragon-looking thing who immediately he fucking tries to kill. Nice. Boba Fett shows up in his first canonical appearance in the series, and the first thing he does is shoot the dragon-looking thing too. Luke thanks Boba Boy for saving his life, and Boba offers to help find the Falcon, and also says he knows where it is already.
We've come in search of a ship that crashed near here.
Maybe I can help you. The ship you seek is nearby.
Why would you offer to help find it, and then... but... Boba bitch slaps his mount, and C-3PO is like,
Don't you think it might be imprudent to trust him so quickly, sir?
And Luke's like, nah, shut the fuck up, 3PO, he's a friend. They meet up with Chewie, and Chewie tries to throw the talisman thing away, and then Luke collapses like a little bitch. Chewie looks straight out of a Dr. Seuss book, by the way, and it's really fucking weird. Turns out Luke and Han are now infected with the sleeping virus caused by the talisman, and the only way to save them is to hang them upside down so the blood rushes to their heads. It's an extremely silly plot for Star Wars, but hey, you know, I've seen worse. How did that clip get there? Get it off the screen. Don't play more. Boba offers to fetch a remedy, and Chewie insists on going with. They go to a big old city, and then they get the cure, and Boba makes a secret call to Vader, where it's revealed that Boba Boy is about to betray the rebels. There's a narrator at the beginning that frames the story, and he shows up again right now to inform the audience that Boba is about to betray the group.
Starlog update. Although Boba Fett quickly located the serum for the sleeping virus, we had no idea of his real plan.
It's really weird and out of place, much like most of this holiday special. Speaking of, we cut back to a live segment here, and it sets up a commercial break. There's a weird freeze frame on Lumpy, and it's really funny looking. Anyway, back to the animated section. Chewie and Boba seem to be taking a while, even though it seems like they made a beeline straight for the cure. R2 intercepts a call between Boba and Vader, and the two droids realize that Boba's just being nice so he can trick Luke and Han into showing him where the rebel base is. Chewie and Boba get chased as they leave the city with the cure, but then Chewie pops a cap in the stormtroopers' asses and fucking kills them. They get back to the Falcon and give Luke and Han the cure off screen. Han says,
"What happened?"
Like he's half asleep. I can't tell if this is because his character had just woken up or because Harrison Ford had just woken up. C-3PO snitches on Boba Fett, and he just opens the hatch and flies away. Chewie makes a joke about Boba Fett smelling, and then they all laugh. That's it. The cartoon ends just short of a fucking freeze frame. The story, much like the rest of the special, ended up going nowhere. I mean, Harrison Ford gets like 5 lines for the whole thing and spends the rest of the short hanging upside down from a ceiling. Luke gets knocked out halfway through, so we spend the majority of our time with Boba, Chewie, C-3PO, and R2-D2. I'm not saying this is a bad direction to take. You could probably do a lot with these characters. Maybe we should have spent more time in the city with Chewie and Boba. The two could have fought off more stormtroopers and maybe go on a mini adventure on their way to buy the cure. Maybe C-3PO and R2 could have, maybe they could have done something. I don't know. Clearly I'm having a hard time thinking about something for them to do, something I have in common with the writers of this short. Wait, this short was written by George Lucas? Oh. We could have Luke not pass out halfway through. That'd be nice. Then he could have gone to the city with Boba and Chewie, and after that, maybe slowly start to distrust Boba as they search the city for a cure, and Boba has trouble keeping up the facade of friendliness. At the end, they could have a little fight, and Luke draws his lightsaber, and Boba tries to blast him before running away. Even a small fight would have been more interesting than Boba fleeing after being found out by the droids. The Faithful Wookiee, which is what the segment is called, just reeks of first draft syndrome. I feel like Lucas wanted to introduce a cool bounty hunter character, but in the end just didn't know what to do with him. Part of me feels like they ran out of money for the animators and had to wrap things up. I understand why the segment is so short, animation is expensive, but part of me feels like there could have been more. Hell, if this had been 5 minutes longer and released on its own as a television short, apart from the special, I could see it becoming its own series. There were interesting designs for the creatures, the planet, and the city itself, so I mean, at least there's that. The short looks okay, so I can't really complain. Overall, I'd say the segment of the holiday special was hands down the best out of all of them. If you asked me to rewatch any portion and do a mini essay about it, I would pick this 1,000 times over. It shows a lot of promise and almost hits its mark, but in the end, the plot just meanders too much and ends up being a disappointment. Thanks again, Connor, for letting me guest star on your video. Good luck with the rest of this flaming pile of garbage.
Thanks for the amazing commentary on the cartoon, Grant. If you like my videos, check out Grant's videos. He makes similar content to ours in a lot of ways. Plus, we show up in like a fourth of his videos, so we'd both appreciate if you subscribe to him.
I'll take it.
Special effects, bro. The Star Wars Holiday Special has a lot of weird concepts. In a way, the Imperials taking over Chewbacca's home is not too dissimilar to what we'd see in World War II with the Nazis, going around trying to basically hunt for their enemies and those persecuted. It was pretty commonly known that Star Wars is basically an analogy for World War II, so it's a fascinating theme to cover. This was basically the Diary of Anne Frank to Star Wars' Saving Private Ryan. Does this film do a good job? No. Did they do this intentionally to mirror World War II? Most likely not. But it is fascinating to mention, I suppose, and it kind of weirded me out to think about. It also weirded me out how Life Day is celebrated pretty cultishly, which is interesting to me. They all dress up in red robes in a dark room singing songs. I suppose it's not too dissimilar to our own holiday traditions, but I did think the part where Lumpy drank poisoned Kool-Aid and started to slowly die was pretty odd. Honestly, the special doesn't feel very holiday, like besides the weird cult scene. Most of the film is just random concerts, and things they sing about aren't particularly what I would consider holiday songs. The Life Day concept is really just a thing that happens, not entirely the main idea of the film. When it's all said and done, we're really just left with the weird, dated, boring, unfunny hour-and-a-half long tests, seeing if we can endure the most boring thing ever put to film. Is this the worst thing I've ever seen? Probably not. I'm far more offended by things that try and dramatically fail, but at the same time, those things at least tried and failed. This did not try, it just failed. So it really makes me question the idea of looking at bad films. What defines it? What truly is the worst film? Anyways, take this for what it is, a boring piece of shit. If you haven't watched the film, good. I wouldn't recommend it. People like JonTron, Red Letter Media, Yesterworld, Quint Reviews, and even the Nostalgia Critic talked about this film and amplified my enjoyment for it. So I guess if my video wasn't enough, you can look around and find numerous more. But through my journey sitting through this film for the 20th time, I learned something. Maybe it's not about the terrible Star Wars special from the 70s. Maybe it's about the Wookiee family we made along the way.